It's the I Can't Mom Today podcast with Heather, the new mom, and Vera, the seasoned mom. I Can't Mom Today.
Hey, this is Vera and Heather back again with another episode of I Can't Mom Today podcast. Hi, Vera.
Hey, Heather.
How are you?
I'm fabulous. How about you?
Oh, good. Man, I could be such a Debbie Downer right now, but I'm not going to be. So I'm just changing my mind.
I'm proud of you. I'm very proud.
Yeah, I mean, 1 week out of 52, right, in a year?
Exactly. Hey, man, progress.
So today we have a special guest that, you know how there are those people that are brought into your lives and you're just like, there's a reason why they're brought into your life and it just like puzzle pieces fall into place and you wind up just... I don't know, it fits and you're like, okay, so I'm meant to be here right now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm part of a group on Facebook with It's All Moms and I love this group. It's great. These ladies are amazing. But they do a mentorship program through that group. And Sarah, who is on the phone with us today. Hi, Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
She signed up for the mentorship to be a mentor financially because, as we've talked about before, I do not have the best sense of financial responsibility. So we met a couple times and then we were supposed to meet again. And Sarah was like, hey, my son's sick. I can't meet. And I was like, I had been seeing her messages in the Facebook group, but I didn't even connect the two. Like I was just like, scroll. I read this thing, but I didn't like link the names.
Yeah.
And so her son, Aiden, and I've mentioned him before on the podcast, and I am like getting emotional already. Holy cow.
Keep it together, girl. Keep it together.
Sorry, I don't know why. Sarah, I'm going to let you take over because I just can't right now. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. So we had met a few times, and back in January, we were like scheduled to meet up again. And I said, "Hey, I'm buckling down. I'm doing everything I can to survive my day to day because my child Aiden, he's 18 months old." Now at that point he was 1 year and 11 days. So we just celebrated his first birthday. He was diagnosed with stage 4 high risk neuroblastoma. So, in the early weeks we were just buckling down and legit when they say, take it day by day, like we were taking it hour by hour because when your world is kind of crumbling down around you, you just don't even know what you're supposed to be doing except for what you're doing right there in the moment because you can't look past that.
Yeah. What is neuroblastoma real quick?
So neuroblastoma, it's a very rare cancer of the sympathetic nervous system. And so it can, the primary tumor for him and a majority of neuroblastoma kids was on his adrenal gland, which controls your fight or flight hormones and all of that. So there's only about 600 cases of neuroblastoma in America. Wow. And so it's very rare. And the original prognosis that we were given based on his diagnosis was a 50-50 shot, just like a flip of the coin.
Wow.
So to just walk in there and we didn't even see this coming. It was like a freight train. In October into November, he had reoccurring eye swelling and we took him to his pediatrician and they were like, that's weird. We've never seen this kind of eye swelling before because it was only on the eyelid. Like if it had been the entire eye, it could have been something else. If it had been like the lower lid, then it would have been something else, but it was only on the upper lid, which they had never seen before. And so they referred us to an ophthalmologist and we got in about a month later and we were coming back off of a high of being on vacation. We just went to Disney World. Like my husband just ran the full Disney marathon. So like we were in the peak of our life, ready to start 2019 with a bang and just so excited for life. And so we walked into this ophthalmology appointment. We had just went to his 1 year well child visit that morning and got green flags of everything, clean bill of health, progressing well. And then that afternoon is when we walked into the ophthalmology appointment. And she dilated his eyes and started asking me all these weird questions like, do you have a history of cancer in your family, a history of ocular cancer, anything. And I'm like, well, this is not going well.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was like, I'm not saying that it's cancer, but it could be cancer. It could be Coates disease. We're not sure. And so I was like, okay, never heard of like either one of these things, but okay. And she's like, it's not like emergent, but it's urgent. You need to go and you need to get an MRI like ASAP. And I'm like, well, I'm not leaving here until we get this thing scheduled. So we got it scheduled for the next day. And I show up in the MRI imaging department and they're like, why are you here for an eye exam? I'm like, same. I don't even know. Like, why am I here for an eye exam? So the nurses were all weirded out. And I'm like, clearly this is a fluke because the nurses don't even know why we're here.
Wow.
And so I took Aiden, and my husband was at work that day, and like my immediate family that we live with, we told them like, hey, just so you know, it could be cancer, could be Coates disease. We're not worried about it. It should be fine. But I was by myself when we sent him off to MRI and waited for like a good hour and a half, 2 hours. And that's when Dr. Pradhan, who would become our oncologist, came in, and the nurse introduced him and said, this is Dr. Pradhan. He's an oncologist. He's here to meet with you. And at that moment, my body just like froze because I'm like, that means he has cancer. Like,
and what a shock. I mean,
yeah.
How were you feeling in that moment? I know you said that you were in shock, but like, did you, because I feel like I would have been flight or flight, like either been like grabbing Aiden and running or like being like, like, you know.
I just stood there and I was like staring at the screen, and obviously I have no idea what I'm looking at. I'm not like an expert in medicine, but I'm a sign language interpreter. So I weave in and out of the medical system all day with my patients. And so I know that an oncologist means that there's cancer somewhere, it's somehow related. But I'm like sitting there flipping through all my files of medical history, and I'm like, oh, clearly this oncologist specializes in something else. My kid does not have cancer. And I'm looking at these imaging and I'm like, oh yeah, that looks normal, because I have no idea what any imaging is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But what Dr. Pradhan was showing me was it really looked like Mickey Mouse ears just on both of his, like on his skull. And what we would later find out is that he had the neuroblastoma all over his skull. And after a full day of testing, my husband got dismissed from work because he was useless. He was just crying, didn't know what was good, and I didn't know how to help him. And he's like, no, you stay at work because like this is turning into this thing and we cannot afford to take off work right now. And so like trying to pull out everything in my mind all at once. In hindsight, I should have had him there with me, but being a mom, you just want to like carry everything and take care of all things at all times.
Yep.
But like, you stay at work because we're going to need the money. So after a full day of testing, my husband got dismissed from work. He came and joined us. We had an x-ray, we had a CT, we had an ultrasound, and they ended up finding a primary tumor about the size of a baseball in his abdomen on his adrenal gland. And we literally were just at his child prior and like, how does this get how is this missed?
Yeah. How'd they not catch this? He's not a big person. He's only a year old.
I where my little baseballs in.
There we go.
We're back again. We had some technology difficulties, so Sarah had to call in, but she's back.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. We are actually staying across the street from the hospital at the Ronald McDonald House. You know how you go through McDonald's all the time and there's those little red boxes, you know, drop your cents for the Ronald McDonald House, collect your pop tab. please do that every single time because that helps out families like ours. They've just been incredibly gracious and they provide us housing. It's deeply discounted. I think we pay like $15 a night. And for even those that are financially burdened and cannot, they just provide it for free. So please do.
Yeah, I've actually been involved with some local Ronald McDonald stuff fundraisers here, and I've talked to a few families who have been helped by it. So I totally know what you're saying. It's hopefully nobody will need it, but if you ever did, that's a wonderful, wonderful organization. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. So to get back to this, the storyline of our journey, we had just gone to his 1-year well child check, and the physician had looked him over and like, how do you miss a baseball in the size of a tiny human? Like, so many questions. How does that happen?
Yeah.
And in his defense, the oncologist, even knowing exactly scan-wise where the tumor was, he was having a hard time like palpating and finding that entire mass. And I guess it was lodged up between his like lungs and like his back. And so it was really hard to feel. And he even asked another oncologist to come in and was like, can you find this tumor? Like, where is it at? And the second oncologist was like, I think I feel it, but I could be wrong. So like neuroblastoma is just a nasty, nasty disease. It's very hard to diagnose because the symptoms look like every other kind of disease out there. I mean, like cold-like symptoms, unexplainable fevers, like bone pain, and things like that. Just things that can be totally excusable. So that's kind of how we got diagnosed, and we started our journey here at Riley Hospital in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Wow. And that, I mean, that just, it's just all started just 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It feels, I think we're at day like 155 right now. And like, I think back, January feels like it's so long ago, but when you said it was only 6 months ago, and I'm like, no, it's been a lot longer than that.
I bet
certainly.
And years. And what's so sad and like good and bad in all of this, I look at Aiden and I forget that he's grown. Like, I have been going through this for 6 months now, and I forget that now I have an 18-month-old, whereas he started this at 1 year old, and now he's 18 months. So like, I've been so focused on his cancer stuff that I forget that in just a short 6 months, we're going to be planning his second birthday. And I have a 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's crazy to see like what's normal toddler things and what's like cancer things. Because he's teething. So are you having teething issues? Are you getting a fever because you're a toddler, or is it cancer related? So anytime he has a fever of, I think it's 100.4, thank God we haven't been admitted for fevers since like January. So he's only been admitted twice. But anytime he spikes a fever, whether it be for teething, whether it be for any other reason, we have to go inpatient into the hospital for 3 days minimum, and he gets antibiotics. So I'm just like, no more teeth, because I don't want to go into the hospital, because you don't know if it's a toddler thing or if it's a cancer thing. So that's what's been most confusing about this whole thing.
I can imagine.
I think one reason why I was super drawn, well, I feel like a lot of reasons I was really drawn to Sarah and her family. Part of the reason is because Aiden is only a few months younger than Baker, and her husband's in the National Guard. So I had that connection as well with Brad. And so I feel like I kind of have to be there. I don't have to be, I choose to be their like person, like rallying for them. I know they have so many people rallying for them, but bringing the awareness of this disease, plus also helping our other moms. Sarah, I appreciate you taking the time away from Aiden right now and being able to provide insight to our moms that maybe aren't going through cancer, but maybe they're child is just sick for a little while, or maybe, there's extenuating circumstances. But tell us some of the things that have been, because I follow your group. It's Aiden's Army Against Neuroblastoma on Facebook, correct?
Yes. Yep.
And so you can follow Aiden's journey on there. But I know that there's a lot, you post about going to counseling with your husband, and you still do date nights. And it's just, if you can give a little insight on whether, how you figured out that those pieces need to be in place, and taking care of mom as well as baby.
Yeah. So like coming into this, I was just like, this is going to be a marathon. If we just, and our doctor said it too, if we just lock ourselves in our home for the next year, we're not going to make it. Like, the statistics for divorced parents of medically complicated kids on top of cancer, it's like an 80% divorce rate.
Wow.
So like literally, we were just told that he had cancer and what kind of cancer. And I looked at Logan and I said, what are we going to do? And we just like both broke down in tears. And my next comment was like, we are not getting a divorce. Divorce is not an option. And we were like at the top of our game. We had a great marriage. We had a great life. We have all this family and all this love in our life. But like, I just know statistically, like, parents don't come out of this the same, and like marriages don't come out of this the same. And so like I have made a very genuine, well thought out plan to try and make sure that we come out of this stronger than what we came into it. And so, fortunately, I work for Luna Language Services, so a little plug for them. If anybody's looking for translation or interpreting services, reach out to them. They've been phenomenal. They've allowed me to take a 6-month leave of absence from my work.
Wow.
And so, like, because of being able to take this time off, like I have ample amount of time at home where I'm just caring for Aiden, and I've had to pour myself into other things to keep my brain and my mind occupied, because I'm used to running at high stress, high energy, getting work done, going to work, and to just be grounded at home. I don't know how you stay at home moms do it, because Lobby, I cannot. I bless you that love your children well enough. I love Aiden with every fiber of my soul, but Lord, I can't. I'm a horrible stay-at-home mom. I'm a really good working mom.
Same.
I can understand.
So,
yeah.
I'm not a good working mom either, but
so yeah, I've just spent a lot of time and energy, and like I've been given this time off, and so I wanted to put good use to it. So I've been actively seeking out like mental health things for myself and my husband, and just like going into this, I'm a finance person. I enjoy personal finance, and I'm like, what would Dave do? Dave Ramsey. What would Dave do? Like how do you like budget for date nights, and how do you go out and spend money and knowing that like there's medical bills at home that need to be paid? Like, how do you balance that and not feel like entirely guilty? But at the end of the day, like there's always going to be money problems. We're always going to need more money. And like, we have to buckle down and do what we have to do now to keep ourselves sane and healthy. It's kind of like, I was reading it this morning. Someone messaged me, and their child is a neuroblastoma survivor of 10 years. And she said, just a friendly reminder that like, you need to put your oxygen mask on first before you can take care of anybody else. And I'm like, yes. Remember the flight attendant always telling you, you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anyone else. So, we've been going to Cancer Support Community. If anybody is going through a cancer journey, like please reach out to them, because they have a myriad of services that they provide, all free for their families. So we partake in marriage counseling for me and my husband, and then we do group therapy on Thursdays. And I thought that it was just going to be like us talking about cancer the whole time, but no, like Logan, I let him have it last week because he doesn't put his clothes in the laundry basket. Like all the marriage things just comes out on the table because every aspect of our life is touched by cancer. Mm-hmm. So cancer support community just allows you to talk about your marriage as a whole. And so that we've been doing that. And I've been putting in some active practices of grounding yourself. That's what we talked about last week. And I've been working on that. Just whenever you get overwhelmed, you use your five senses. What do you see, taste, touch, feel, and hear? And you just keep repeating those things until you're grounded and you're back in the moment, because it's so easy to spin. Like your mind just spins off in a wild direction and you can't get it under control. So just do some like self-help, and everybody has their own journey. Mm-hmm. And if you're going through a hard spot, like somebody out there has it worse than you, and not to like put down or to belittle your situation. But like even me, like I'm going through a childhood cancer right now, but like we went to a family retreat for cancer families, and there are children there with terminal illnesses and like expected 3 to 6 months to live, and they have a smile on their face.
Wow.
So just pick yourself up and keep on going and find things for you. Like right now I'm sitting in the Ronald McDonald House and I'm staring at my vision board. I'm a big fan of vision boards. It says bounce back for all the cool moms, for all the career moms, for all the scattered moms, like you're awesome. And so just have those things. It says take on today, relax. So just put yourself first, even though the world tries to make you feel guilty about taking time for yourself. But again, if you don't take care of yourself and take care of your marriage, then you can't take care of your family.
So what were the resource that you said, the organization where you can find a lot of, help? Was there a specific one? For cancer families, there's Cancer Support Community. It was actually started by, I think it was the Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory guy, the original. I forget his name. Gene Wilder?
Gene Wilder, yes.
Okay.
Coming up. Yes. So Gene Wilder, I forget if it's him or his wife. The entire organization was started by them because they were seeking out cancer therapy, and they couldn't find anything. So they started it out of their home, and it just naturally grew. And so now it's a national organization all over, Cancer Support Community, and they fundraise because Gene Wilder is a comedian. They continue to do fundraising efforts through comedy. So like this past year, they had from Parks and Rec, they had Ron Swanson come out and do a show here in Indy. And so I rocked my Cancer Support Community shirt with Ron Swanson's face on it. I just love it. So So they have all types of different services available. And also, I found a lot of help. I'm not particularly religious by any means or any stretch of the imagination, but I really did enjoy Girl Wash Your Face and Girl Stop Apologizing by Rachel Hollis.
Yeah.
So if you like, those are like hot books trending out there right now, and for good reason. I really enjoyed it. Even I would say that it had like Christian or faith-based undertones, but as someone who's not particularly religious, I still found a lot of personal growth from that.
Yeah, I saw her interviewed. I forgot on what talk show it was, and she was hysterical and just like all over the place, but full of energy and just very frank and honest about her own experiences and everything. So I was like, I've got to read. I keep meaning to buy one of them. Or both.
Girl, you don't need to buy it. You can just you can get on Audible, and Audible gives you 2 free books to trial for like a month. So that's what I did.
Ooh.
And so yeah, check it out. You can listen to it. I think they're about 7 to 8 hours a piece of listening. So if you got some good drive time going around town or something, definitely recommend check it out on Audible.
But if she doesn't buy it, then how do I read it?
But here's the deal. I listened to it on Audible, and it was so freaking good that I went and bought both of those books on Amazon, and I reread them, and I highlighted them. So that's how good they are. So you can trial it, and then if you like it, you can buy them.
Interesting.
Because I was like, that really speaks to me. I mean, because I always say I'm literally in therapy to learn how to say no. And so that's kind of right up there with stop apologizing, you know?
And you don't wash your face.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I don't wash my face.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Hey guys, tune in next week. We'll have more with Sarah with part 2. We had so much to talk about. We couldn't fit it in one podcast. So tune in next week. In the meantime, just check us out. I Can't Mom Today podcast at gmail.com or on Instagram, I Can't Mom Today podcast, or Facebook, I Can't Mom Today. See you next week.